The eighth and the penultimate round of the Women's National Championship saw a major clash. It was between the top seed Vaishali and the young talent Divya Deshmukh. Divya was leading the tournament by a full point, and Vaishali had the white pieces and a chance to stop Divya. So let's have a look at how the game went. It started off with 1 e4. Divya responded back with e5, knight f3, and knight f6. Very smart play by Divya. She plays the Petroff because she knows that Vaishali is an aggressive player. Generally, Divya also is aggressive, so she plays the Sicilian, but understanding your opponent's style and trying to play what is more uncomfortable for her shows the maturity in Divya's play. Vaishali took the pawn on e5, d6, knight f3. This is all theory. And now the main move here is d4. But Vaishali played c4, which is also played. But it turns out that Vaishali is not so well versed with this opening. After knight c6, she goes for the move d4. Although the main move here is knight to c3. d4, Divya thinks for a bit, plays d5. And now after 18 minutes of thought, nearly 19 actually, Vaishali plays knight c3, which is not a good move. In fact, black now takes over the initiative. Try to think, what would you play here as black to play? So taking on c3 is not a good idea because it bolsters the center. But bishop b4 is the correct move. You're putting pressure here. White had to play queen c2 here. And now Divya thought for 13 minutes in this position. Quite justified. And she went for queen e7. She could have also castled. But queen e7 is such a nice tricky move. Because now there are all sorts of threat. Knight takes c3 with a discovered check. So Vaishali played the most obvious move and one that has been played before as well, which is bishop e3. Turns out that king d1 is a better move, but I mean, it's so difficult to play a move like king d1. Although black is still better in this position as well. Bishop e3. Divya played her bishop to f5 now, putting pressure here. Knight takes c3 could be a threat, knight g3 could be a threat, lot of ideas. Here, a3 was played. The point is, bishop d3 is a move you want to play, but it does not work out because of d takes c4. You force the bishop. If the bishop takes here, by the way, if you take on e4, then after bishop e4, black is just better, pawn up with bishop pair, bishop c4, and now you play your knight to g3, defending the bishop, attacking the queen and also the rook. And in this way, black is better. What could be the other move? Actually, it's very difficult to say. Like if you try to wriggle out here with a move like queen b3, black simply races ahead in development with castles. And now there are so many tricks. Like for example, if you take on d5, just so that you understand, knight a5 attacks the queen. If you go to a4, now I take on c3 because that is an undefended piece. So there are a lot of tactics in the air. And a3 was played by Vaishali. Knight g3 by Divya. Very good move. She thought for 26 minutes here, but very well played. Queen a4. Now the bishop is hanging, so she takes. Pawn takes, and I want you to pause the video and try to figure out what would you do here as black. Divya actually thought for a lot of time, but now started making her moves quickly. So if you went for knight h1, that is a bad move. Because after c takes d5, it's already some pressure. Okay, black can still castle and try to claim that he's better, but the more accurate way to play is knight takes f1. This time cd5 does not work because of knight e3 and the king is too weak in the center. So you have to take back, and now comes a very cool move. Once again, try to pause the video. Try to think, what should black do here? White king is perpetually, or you can say perennially weak now. Yes, long castle is the move. You might think of move like bishop d3, but after c takes d5, bishop f1, king f1, this knight is hanging and you lose 2 pieces for a rook. So long castle, cd and rook d5. And what we have reached here is a amazing position for black, a miserable position for white. King in the center, all of black pieces are well developed. The other rook will come in, and Divya actually plays this entire phase very well. c4, rook a5, queen b3, knight b4. Interesting move. You can't take because rook is hanging. You can't take with the queen because I exchange the queens and take the rook. King d2. If you go, by the way, rook c1, that is knight d3 check. So king d2, knight c2, rook here, and now well, knight e3, fe3, rook e8 was another way to play to keep the pressure, but Divya said let's win a pawn, take here, and she's up a pawn now, but her knight could get trapped. But here she kept her cool, kept her calm. She could have played knight c2 as well. She played b5, which is nice. The pawn comes to help the knight. cb, knight b5, king here, knight d6. Now generally such positions are not easy to win. Although you are a pawn up, white is active, and that activity generally translates into an endgame, maybe a pawn down, but you are able to hold it. But look at what Divya does now. Knight e5, she goes king b7, improves her king, d5, and now a very nice move, a5. So if you take here with king a5, then I can play rook e8. And already the knight is difficult because where do you go? Like, you can't go here. If you go back to f3, I can do many things. Maybe bishop d3 is one move. There is also bishop e4. But the main point of provoking the king to a5 was that after rook e8, bishop f4, you can just take, and knight c4, winning 2 pieces for a rook and winning the game. But Vaishali decided not to take. She went king c5, a4, the pawn keeps moving ahead, g4, bishop c2, the bishop is well positioned here, bishop b3, knight to c6, and now bringing the rook behind the pawn, f3, king c8, improving the position of the king here so that when you push the pawn, it is not pinned, bd4, f6, bishop c3, a3, and now a very accurate move, rook a4, because the threat is rook c4 checkmate. So knight a5, a2, king c6. There's no check coming in here, so the king is actually very, very safe. Rook a3, bishop b4, and now first a check, pushing the king back, and then queening here, and the rook is going to be lost. So in this position, Vaishali resigned. Divya moves on to 7.5 out of 8. Her performance has been truly amazing. Look at this. She is right now on 7.5, a full point ahead of Priyanka Nutakki. In the last round, Divya is facing Soumya Swaminathan. A draw would be enough for Divya to win the national title. But it will be interesting to see how she does. She's confirmed herself of the second spot at least, but she would really want to win this. For now, we will wait for the last round result, but I hope you enjoyed the game. It was a big clash between two future talents of Indian chess, two future top players of India, Vaishali and Divya, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.